And I think this game, it is a good game. Shooting's fun, multiplayer's fun, ranked is fun, zombies and whatnot. The only thing that would make it even better is if this COD was built off of just multiplayer and not Warzone. Like if Warzone never existed and they didn't have to work on Warzone, I think multiplayer would just thrive a lot more. Warzone was good for COD, but it hurt multiplayer a lot.
Welcome, everybody, to episode number 199 of the COD Casuals podcast. We're your host, Mike.
I'm Justin.
Justin, how we doing, bro?
Doing pretty good. Just got back from work. Got back a little earlier than I usually do. Set up and recorded.
Yeah, you've got the beautiful sun on the way back.
Yeah, right.
Bro,
Complete
I tell you,
darkness.
every time we record, I just look over to my left or my right here, and I see out the window and just pitch black, and it pisses me off. Like,
Yeah.
I had a kid today, they were like asking me, they're like, how long is nighttime? And I was like, that's a good question. I really don't know. And I looked it up, and I was like, well, the sun sets here at 4:12 p.m.
hmm
And she was like, what? I was like, so technically, I guess you could call that nighttime. And then I was like, the sun rises. It's at 6:58 here. So
hmm
I'm like, there you go. It's about 14 hours of darkness of nighttime, if you want to call it that.
Yeah.
She's like, do you go to bed at 4? I'm like, are you crazy? I'm like, what? I was like, no,
Yeah.
dude. I was like, my nighttime is like 9 to 6, or whenever I wake up. I'm like, that's my
hmm
nighttime. I don't consider right now like, oh, it's night.
Yeah. Yeah. Well, that's a thing. Well, when is it? We only got like a couple more months technically until the sun starts setting later. That's like what we're all waiting for. Like the next daylight
Yeah.
savings time, when that comes around, that's when like everyone's happy again.
Yeah, dude. I know you're the same way. It's like you're probably stoked you leave work early, but it's like, dude, you got to turn the lights on in the car. Like,
Yeah.
you can't just, you
Yeah.
know what I mean? It's like, it doesn't feel like you're getting out any earlier.
Yeah. I'm leaving early and just trying to beat the sun before it sets.
Yeah.
Like it's
It's
already going down when I'm stepping out.
yeah, it's definitely terrible, but
Yeah.
it is what it is. I've got this week, and then I've got 2 more, and then I've got my Christmas break.
Yeah.
And
Well, is that
I
it's like 2 weeks, right? Because it falls in the middle. Yeah, that's
Oh
nice.
yeah. Oh yeah.
Yeah.
Getting the 2 weeks off. I
Yeah.
can't wait. Everyone just like this morning going in, I'm just like, "Hey, how's it going?" They're like, 3 weeks. I'm like, "Yup, that's it."
Yeah.
You
Yeah.
know. And they're all the kids are checked,
Yeah.
I don't
Everyone's
blame them.
checked.
Yeah, I know.
I mean,
Like
like, if
I'm checked, everybody
if
is too.
Christmas and, New Year's, though, like, if it fell, like, a couple years ago when it fell on the Monday, like, you would only have that, like, that 1 week off, right?
Yeah.
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 This is, like, best case.
No,
That falls in the middle
exactly.
of the week.
Exactly. This is best case scenario. Because there's been many times too, like I remember, I can't remember last year when my last day was, but I know some schools in other districts, I think it was they had the weekend obviously, and then they had a full day on Monday, and that was the
Mhm.
last day.
Yeah.
It's like, bro, that is fucking terrible. You
Yeah, that
go in the,
sucks.
the week before, you're like, dude, we're done. We got Saturday, Sunday. All right, we're gonna come back for one worthless day. I'm like, bro,
Yeah.
ain't nobody showing up to that.
Yeah.
Like, I would skip out on that and be like, dude, you don't want to be here. You don't care about being here. Neither do I. Like,
Mhm.
what are we gonna do to you?
Yeah.
But nevertheless, though, man, I will say this weekend that we're coming off of, which was just right before December, so I don't even know what the dates were. What we had the 31st. Well, no, it started even a little bit early because we had Thanksgiving, which I hope everyone
Yeah.
had a good Thanksgiving. Um, it was, I think, the day before Thanksgiving, so it was on a Wednesday, and then up until Sunday, or probably today, maybe at like 8 a.m. or 12, um, we had double XP, which
Mhm.
was sensational.
Yeah, the
This was
double
a
XP is always nice.
Bro, this was a massive Treyarch W blessing us with this amount of double XP. Um, I know you took advantage of it. I took filthy advantage of this.
Yeah.
Um, and Yeah, I don't know. I love that they're trying to keep up with these, like, holidays or whatever's going on. They know everyone's home. They're just like,
Mhm.
"You know what? Let's bless you guys. Let's give you some good stuff here." Like, for Christmas, I'm hoping they're like, it's the 12 days of Christmas, but it's just 12 days of double XP. I'll be
I
livid.
hope they give us another double XP during, the holidays, because I mean, at that point, we'll be able to get to, like, 5th, 4th, 5th. Um,
Easy.
but yeah, the double XP is nice.
Yeah, and I don't know, I'd imagine they would because they're probably I mean, obviously, like I just said before, people are home, they wanna do it, but there's probably the people who are I don't even know if they exist anymore, the Christmas noobs. Um,
Yeah, I mean, I don't think we get those lobbies anymore because it's skill based. It's not a
dude,
thing.
honestly, that was a time to be alive. Like, I don't think people remember the Christmas noob era.
Yeah, no, because everyone's too young.
No,
Like,
seriously.
they don't even know what Christmas noobs are. Like, yeah, back in the day, you would load in and you'd get a bunch of level 1s randomly in your lobby, and they didn't
Yeah.
know anything about the game. But now you're matched up with people, around your skill, which is annoying.
So,
We'll
dude,
never get
I'll
that.
yeah, I know, we'll never get that again, I see it because I get preemptively excited when I go into these lobbies and I get that level 1 glitch where everybody's that level, and I'm
Mhm.
thinking that I just got, the god lobby, and I'm like, "Oh, man, this is incredible." And then, I start realizing these people are just glitched, because 'cause
Yeah.
they're cross mapping me and just doing all this stuff. I'm like, "Oh, never mind."
Mhm.
I wish it was all level 1s because 'cause I'd be stomping them, but it's not the case. Um, yeah, dude, I know I told you about it a little bit, was it yesterday I was playing a bit because I was on most of the day and played some ranked, and our buddy that we play with, he's like what is he? He's now Diamond 1. I didn't
Mhm.
hit it with him, but he stayed on, because we were losing, which pissed me
Hmm.
off. I was like, "I'm not doing this anymore," you know? Um, the skill-based and ranked, like, when you have to go and join up with somebody like that, it's not it's not as bad as I thought it was gonna be.
Mhm.
They actually do a pretty good job of balancing people out because he's plat 3 at the time, and I was like what was I? I think we were silver 1 or 2, somewhere around there.
I don't
Um,
remember. We're somewhere in
yeah,
silver.
right, but it balanced out pretty nicely, like, it didn't put anybody in diamond, it didn't put anybody I think maybe 1 bronze player,
Mhm.
um, but it was pretty fair,
Mhm.
which was a relief because I asked him when he left, I was like, "Who are you playing with?" And he's like, "Oh, dude, it's pretty much all, like, plat 1, plat 3, and then diamond 1, and the occasional, like, diamond 2 or 3," for the guys that are really bad,
Yeah.
that are up there.
Hard stuck.
Yeah. Yeah, legit. Um so, I was happy about that, but it was a bummer not being able to just smoke everybody like you and I have when we were
Yeah.
playing ranked. Yeah, bro. It was definitely, a jump up in the skill.
Oh, yeah, I mean, I'm sure it was. I haven't touched ranked since the last time we played, like 2 weeks
Yeah.
ago, something like that, but, uh, yeah, I know ranked now, like, you can queue up with anyone now, which is nice, but whoever the highest ranked person is in your lobby, that's, like, who your skill base is gonna be matched off of. So, I mean, he's what? He was plat 3 at the time, like, those players are obviously gonna be slightly better, but
Right.
nothing we can't handle.
Yeah, it wasn't, there wasn't many cases of where I was just flipping out being like, "Oh my god, these guys are, you know, ridiculous." It seemed pretty balanced.
Mhm,
Don't think we've hit that point yet, and I don't know when we will. Probably when we get up into the diamond realm, where these guys, like, I was genuinely impressed with how good they were.
mhm,
It's just kind of like they're like mid tier plus. Like we have to actually try, when
yeah.
playing it. Um, but I did play Search and Destroy twice, lost them both horrendously. I don't know how I like Search on this game yet. It's
Mhm,
still such a small sample size. But those are legit the first 2 games of Search and Destroy I've ever played on this game. And playing, one of them well, no, take that back. Both of them were on Protocol. Um, and I don't really like it. It
yeah.
pissed me off. Yeah, It's like I don't know. It's like very one-sided, it seemed like, at least from my experience when playing at that time. It's like there's obviously like A and B site. Nobody plants B. It's like always an A hit. Like
Mhm.
9 times out of 10, that's what it's gonna be. And it's just people like from both sides, like in that control room, you know where that is? Like
Yeah.
that's where the bomb site is, right in the middle of that. And it's just both sides going down like the zip lines or down
Mhm.
the ladder and just meeting at that one spot, throwing nades. And it's kind of chaotic, you know?
Mhm.
So I don't know how I'm feeling about search right now on this game,
I
but
mean,
everything else has been good.
you did play Protocol though. That's not the best map.
No,
Also, I
no.
mean, like it was both on Protocol, right? You only played 2 maps, so like you need to get more reps in. You need to get more
Y-
reps in with me. Oh, let me rephrase that.
yes. Yes. Now, I don't want to talk bad on our friend, but it's again, I was telling you about it
the
last
the
night.
chem's just not there. You and I have been playing for over a decade. Like the chem's just naturally there.
Yeah, every time I go and play with somebody else, I'm quickly realized of that. I'm like, dude, I've been playing with you for over a decade. Like the way we think about the game and play the game is so similar
Yeah,
that it's like it's so effortless to go play. When I play with somebody else, it's like he's doing, he's not like a bad player by any means, but it's
yeah,
just certain things we don't pick up on from one another. Like we don't even like we would need to talk about that, you know.
mhm,
You and I just do it.
yeah. That's why it's a lot easier when you get 2 people and then you put them in with like 2 other people, even if they're another duo or randoms. It's so much easier because at least you have the duo to like coordinate. They know what's
Right.
happening on the map. They can rely on each other, whereas the other 2 can kind of just do whatever they want. But yeah, I think this game too, especially, it's a lot about teamwork. A lot about teamwork in this because I don't think in this game you get really random ass spawns in ranked. Like they're pretty predictable at this point, and you just got to make sure like the basics of rotating and everything. But I feel like for the most part, this game's pretty straightforward in ranked. But
Right.
like I just haven't played enough yet either. But gotta change that.
Yeah, I mean, it seems for the most part, I agree with you. The spawns seem pretty normal. There is a handful of times though, I will say, I remember playing was Hardpoint on Vault, where I just don't understand some of the spawns that end up happening there.
Mhm.
Um, there's got to be some reason as to why it's happening, but it's not like a random guy will spawn out like in last year. Um, it's it does like one of the sides. I'm trying to think what hill it is. It's the one that's, like, off on the street, you know?
I
You know
believe that's
that one I'm talking
P3.
about?
Yeah,
Yeah, I think
P3 under
P3.
the whatever the
Yes.
roof.
Yeah, yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. And, I'll have one of the sides where I'm sitting way back and I'm just, like, watching a lane, and I'm like, "Okay, we're definitely gonna be spawning here." Like, I'm totally tucked back here. There's no way anyone's gonna, be able to spawn near me. And then sure as shit, they all spawn on me.
Mhm.
And I'm like, "Is that my fault? Like, is that the teammates' fault because 'cause they're, like, overextended too far?" Um,
Mhm.
but it's because there was a moment where we lost the whole hill pretty much because of that. I was there, held back, and I'm like, "Alright, you guys just, like, get on hill." And then within 10 seconds, they all spawn behind me. And I'm like, "How is this even possible?"
Yeah.
I've
I
had a
th
few moments like that.
this game is like heavily uh like you need an anchor in the back. You need someone sitting like deep, really far back
Right,
and blocking that spawn. And I that's why whoever's the AR playing, like they need to rotate and they need to hold certain positions instead of um like hopping on hill or whatever.
right,
Uh whereas because if you push up slightly and then your other 3 teammates, depending where they are on the map, they're like already on that halfway point of the map, they're gonna flip.
right,
And whoever's the AR needs to know that they need to sit way back.
right,
I'm not talking like, oh, outside of the hill, like back to where that little tower is.
right.
So But I mean, yeah, that's that's something easier to pick on though. I feel like in MW3 it was so much harder to pick up on that because there wasn't anchoring. Like it didn't
Yeah.
matter if there was an anchor.
Right, they would just spawn, like, anywhere at any time, and you
Yeah.
had to, like, be on your toes 24/7.
Mm.
Um, yeah, I think through this whole thing, I've definitely learned that, I don't wanna be an AR. I don't I'm a bad AR. I don't wanna do it. I'd rather
Mhm.
just be running around with a sub on the
Mhm.
hill.
Yeah.
Um, and, again, when I had to play, it's like, "Oh, I'm running a sub." I'm like, "Okay," and then I look at
Mhm.
everyone around me, everyone's a sub. I'm like, "Okay, we're cooked." Like, we're
Yeah.
we're playing on vault. I'm like, "Dude, we don't need that many, we don't need that many subs. We need, like, just 1 or 2."
Mhm.
Especially with how big that map is. Um, and then again, we're holding hills, and I'm the only one in the hill, and people are just not watching stuff, or
Mhm.
just, like, standing in, stupid spots. Like, we got 2 people watching the street. I'm like, "Bro, what about my right side here?" Like, no one's
Yeah.
watching that. And then I die, and you see these guys in the chat, they're like, "What the fuck, dude?"
Yeah.
I'm like I was like, "Dude,
Yeah.
I'm like, I need to get out of silver." Like
Yeah. Ranked is just it's so it is a lot about teamwork, but the weapons that you use, uh, I guess for the average person, it definitely does matter and like your play style. Like you can tell right away, or at least I can definitely tell right away that the play styles of other people, they don't mesh. Like instantly when you load on the map and after the first couple hills, it's like, okay, you need someone that's like really flexible and that can change their play style to running the jackal or running the aims because like I run an A actually I don't run an AR that often in this game, but that's because I haven't played that much in ranked. But I feel like I'm a faster AR. I'm not like diving in the hill or anything, but I'm always moving. Whereas there are other ARs that I was just talking about sit in the way back and they're just anchoring and holding and just watching crosses. Where you need both of those ARs to like do well for the most part, but everyone needs to understand their responsibility though. Like it's a problem when both ARs are being very aggressive with your subs and then like you're just flipping back and forth. So I think in this game it really does matter your type of play style. I mean every COD it does, but I think you can tell a lot in this game if you don't mesh well with another person or like another team.
Right, I'd agree, and you've always been kind of a flex player anyway. You've always been someone who can I mean, you usually play faster anyway, like you said, as an AR, but you
Hmm.
can be one to just move in and out of an AR and go to a sub and vice versa when needed.
Hmm.
Um, Which I'd say to myself, I'm more the opposite. I'm pretty strictly a sub. Um, but that's why it works with us, if we need someone to be held back, like you can go and pick that up. But then if you just want to go and play fast and
Hmm.
like, I say not like exactly right with me, but just, more or less kind of playing for kills and hill time and getting rotations, you can do that with an AR, you
Yeah.
know.
I like
Um,
I like to play faster because I don't mind sitting back and watching crosses, but there's a difference between like me and like our friend that does it. Like he's really good at just sitting back and not moving and holding crosses. Like I can't do that. I need
right.
to be constantly moving and positioning myself. So
Yeah.
like at least the games that I've played in rank, like I've always used a jackal. Um, and I don't know, I find it fun to use a sub on maps, or at least like right now, I'll say, because against a really good players, it's not going to happen that easily. But I like using subs on maps like Protocol, where if you look at the map, it shouldn't work, but then like you do well on it because you find the routes that you like and you play it a certain way. It's like in MW2, using the Vaznev in um I I can never remember the map. It starts with an A or something. Uh,
What's the map look like?
it's the one with the cell tower. It's the one we always forget.
Bro,
Cell
we never
tower,
remember the name.
cell tower on the right. If you spawn on defense,
Soccer
soccer
field
field
on
on
the
the
left,
left.
yeah.
Yeah, I can't remember that map, but I'm sure these people do. But either way, uh, like that map running an AR was definitely way better than a sub. But I don't know. I find it fun using a sub on maps that should be ARs because you can catch the AR players in certain ways that they probably wouldn't expect.
Yeah, and both those maps too, they allow you to go and play with a sub in certain spots, you know?
Mhm.
Like, I remember one of the games we were playing, this guy, he was sitting back and he had a sub on protocol, and I was losing my
Mhm.
mind, like, he wasn't getting any kills, he was double negative, and it's like, "Dude, you need to move. You can't
Yeah.
sit back there, you're gonna
You're
get
playing like an
fried."
AR.
Right, right, with the
Yeah.
sub. It's like, man, if you're going from window to window with a sub, that's possible, like, your shot
Mhm.
better be good, but you could do that, um, but you're way better off just running into their building or, being down in that, like, server room and just trying to play around there, you know?
Mhm.
Like, I don't know, some people, they maybe just put themselves in positions with a certain weapon that they don't realize that it's not ideal, like, you're gonna compromise yourself, and you're not really making any plays. I think that's what people really mean when they say, you're getting kills that don't matter. It's like you could
Mhm.
be, somewhere in a building and getting a kill, like on protocol to the other building. And it's like, okay, man, but your AR should be there doing that, you know?
Yeah.
And that means now
Mhm.
this guy's not doing anything. You
Mhm.
should be down there on the hill or trying to get kills around it or rotate, something like that? It's
Mhm.
like otherwise you're just doing somebody else's job and you don't need to be doing that.
Yeah. That's understanding your role as a player on the team, which
Right.
COD players in general, just saying, they're not flexible. Or the people in ranked are not flexible when it comes to that. Like a lot of people are stuck in their way of how they play, which makes sense because that's how you play. And if that's the best way that you play, then play it that way. But then the other three people on the team have to figure out, okay, like where do you fill that? Because there have been plenty of times where you and I are playing together, and the other two players are like frying as ARs. Like they're anchoring, they're rotating, and the second person is just like moving up and just frying. And then us as subs, like we'll just sit hill time. Like we'll just hover around
Right.
and, do what we need to do. But a lot of COD players won't put their ego aside and do that. Right. If
Right.
you want to win games, play the objective. Doesn't matter if you get 40 plus 50 kills. If you don't hop on the point and you don't rotate, it doesn't matter.
Yeah, exactly. I think so many people in general, they put so much stock into just, trying to get kills, and trying to have like a good looking score when at the end of the day, like for myself, I could care less. Like if I go 22 and 25, but I know that I did my job, like yeah, I could play better, but we still got the win. That's all that matters to me.
Mhm.
I can't stand the games where we're all frying or people are all positive and we lose you
Yeah.
know? Or even worse when we get, like, shut out, We'll lose, like, over 100 points or close to it, and people are bitching about, kills and stuff. It's like, "Dude, I got all these kills." It's like, "Bro, we're clearly not doing the things, though, like, the one thing that we need to do." Like, yeah, we're getting
Mhm.
kills, but who cares? But there's always maybe 1 or 2 that spawned up, and they get on the hill, thinking about
Mhm.
hardpoint.
Yeah. Exactly.
I hate that so much.
Yeah. Because something went wrong. Like getting the kills was not the problem. It was playing
Right.
the objective. Yeah, I feel like a lot of people can't put that aside, especially in ranked. And it's like if you win, you get SR. That's all that matters. Winning and
Right.
getting the SR in ranked.
Yeah, that's all that I'm looking for at the end of the day because I want to try to get out of gold and get the diamond and go to plat first.
Mhm.
Um, and it ain't gonna happen if I'm dropping 45 in for the L. You know what I mean?
Yeah,
Yeah.
exactly. Yeah,
But
but yeah, we like you played ranked. I haven't played ranked like in a bit, but I'm sure we'll get on it. Maybe tonight we'll play.
yeah,
Um, we were playing like taking advantage of double XP, but we've been playing like a lot of gunfight too. I think that was the last time you and I like really played, and we were on a roll playing gunfight a
bro, I
couple nights
love
ago.
gunfight.
Gunfight's so fun when you have like another person to play with. Like,
Oh yeah.
um, I forget the person's name. Not gonna call the person out, but
I know. I was trying to think of him
yeah,
too, bro.
We played like 3 games, I think 3 games in a row against the same guy, and like he just kept choking. It was so bad. Um, we were down 1-5, I think, at one point, on Warhead. Yeah,
Yeah.
Warhead. And we were like, all right, let's figure this out. Let's lock in. And then we just played so tight with each other, and we ended up winning 6-5. It was so funny.
Yeah, and then I started getting into the game chat, I'm like, "Oh, no, it's falling apart. It's happening again, bro." Like, yeah, man, I don't know, sometimes I have more fun doing that at times than, like, just playing pubs for sure.
Mhm,
I mean, I wish Gunfight, we could just stay in that all the time and get really good XP from it. The only
mhm,
drawback, of course, is it's not respawn, but I think that mode is one of the best modes that they've added to Call of Duty in, like, a really long time. I wish they would just develop it more, like we've said many times, that they add back that tournament style, that
mhm,
they had in Cold War, I believe, because it's so fun, and I think there'd be way more people that'd be playing Gunfight, because
mhm.
I don't know how many people do, but if you haven't, you gotta play it, like,
Yeah.
it's just fun. It's fun to stomp out people like that, you know?
Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. It's something fun about just 2v2s. The face they need to develop, like, these face-offs. I mean, it's not called face-off, but back in the day, MW3 was called face-off. Um, I wish they did, like, 2v2, like, TDMs, kill confirmed again, like, 2v2 DOMs or something. Dom might be a stretch, but, like, TDM, kill confirmed. What we're playing right now is basically Surge, so that's
Yeah.
fine, but I I love the 2v2s.
Yeah, I think we like it the most too because we're just relying on one another,
Mhm.
you know? Like, if we're in ranked, we've got the potential of 2 people who are hopeless. Where you and
Yeah.
me, I'm like, if it's down to a 1v2, I'm like, "Alright, like, he can do this." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
I'm not like,
There's a
"Oh, it's
chance.
over."
Yeah.
I'm not it's not like some guy I see who's 0-5 in search and it's like a 1v1. I'm like, "Yeah, we're losing this. It's not happening." You know?
Yeah.
Like, we always have the faith in each other. Um, but yeah, we were doing that, and then last night we went and we played a game of Prop Hunt.
Mhm,
Um, which do a Prop Hunt, again, same thing, like a party mode that I'm glad that they're adding it in. I don't think it was in last year's COD.
mhm.
Well, actually, no, it wasn't, right?
No.
Yeah, and it should just always be a staple. They should have this in every single COD no matter what. It's such a good break from everything else. And it's always hilarious too. Like, we had
Oh,
some funny
yeah.
moments with that.
Yeah.
He turned into a fucking piano, bro.
Dude, I if, I wonder if Treyarch, like, owned Prop Hunt because they're the only ones that add Prop Hunt into it, and I wish I could see what, like, item I'm changing to because you only get 3 chances to change, and I got the chair my first try. I was like, hindsight, I probably should have stayed that. I went from chair to AC unit to piano, and then now I'm screwed. Um, like you can't hide it with that. We were playing on Skyline for people, and there's only one piano on Skyline.
Right.
So
Yeah, and, like, when we first played it, I was like, "Oh, I don't even know how you know what you could be," and I don't know how many combinations of items there are, if there's, like, 10 or 20 or whatever, um, but, yeah, it's hard, like, the first round, it's tough, and then after a while, like, your COD knowledge just kicks in, you're like, "Dude, that's not a thing, like, there's no way,"
Mhm.
and then you start shooting at it, and sure enough, but, yeah, there's some of them where, yeah, you get screwed, like, I remember I turned into the freaking AC unit, and I'm like, "Bro,
Yeah,
what?"
yeah,
Like, I don't even know what to do anymore, I just hid in the gym, and people
yeah.
walked by me, I was like, "You can't be serious." Like,
Mhm.
yeah, it's always a lot of fun, and I think can you no, you can't play it on every map, right?
I don't know. I mean, we only played on Skyline, so I'm sure
Dude,
there are other maps you can play on.
bro, could you imagine Prop Hunt on red card?
Yeah, that'd be that'd
Bro,
be insane.
and they give you a half-hour time limit, like,
Yeah,
bro, that would be impossible.
yeah,
Or even like, Vorkuta, same thing. There's too
yeah.
many, like, small buildings and dark places in there, there's no chance you could play it on that.
Yeah, because even if someone might end up hiding the whole time, but those maps are big enough to where you can just like move around. and hide.
Yeah. Yeah. No, I think I don't know how many maps they have. I mean, we'll go check it tonight. We'll play a bit, and I want to get obviously a new map in the rotation for it. But I'd imagine they probably just keep it to the small maps. Like that one. Maybe was it Subsonic?
Mhm.
And that probably wouldn't be a bad one. But I don't even know what you would turn into on that.
Yeah.
That's where it gets kind of
Boxes.
dicey. Yeah, or rubble.
Yeah.
Like,
Yeah.
um,
A
but
jet. Imagine.
no, dude.
Straight up jet.
You just got jets like all lined up. It'd be crazy. Um, but no, these are all good modes that they're adding in, and like I'm happy that they're just keeping up with it because I'm sure it does help with player retention. Um, Something I wanted to talk about a little bit because I saw this article come up, and it's related to this about just how Call of Duty, like one of the main things they said is that it needs more experimental games and experimental modes, which I thought was strange because they were coming off of like the title saying that, they need to have a refresh and not return to basics. And it's taking a step in the wrong direction, which off the rip, I read this and they didn't really give a lot of like great answers as to what they should do because flat out, I disagree. I think COD is going in the right direction. Um, and I don't really see like what some of the things that they were saying regarding modes that need to be added. Like they need to add more stuff with zombies, like having experimental zombies modes in there. Um, I'm trying to think, see what else they said. Just tackling different genres from its typical military FPS fare. I don't understand this argument. And I've seen a few articles like this once I looked it up. There's a few people that agree with this, that they think it's just gone stale
Mhm.
and that they need to do a serious revamp. And to me, I'm like, Call of Duty is always going to be Call of Duty. That's kind of what makes it great. It's like more or less the same thing every year. Um, like baseline, it's the same thing,
Mhm.
but they add enough and like different developers go in and change it up from year to year that I don't think this is really a big problem.
Yeah. I mean, we buy COD every year, and clearly a lot of people buy COD every single year because this year is the most players ever playing Call of Duty. And Treyarch did a good job with this COD. So, I mean, I think it really depends on the developer and how much effort they want to put into it. Because, like you said, what they added was the Omni movement. That was their big like change up this year, and it was a good change. Like it changed enough to where it's actually really good for the game. But you and I have always said that they need to keep adding party modes, like other game modes, which I'll agree with the article there. But I mean, I don't think it would. Like, you can't just change Call of Duty. Call of Duty is an arcade shooter. It's always going to be that. That's why people play it. That's why you and I play it. Um, but we want more variety, of like party game modes or just like other game modes and like trying to be creative. Because like in Vanguard, they added what was it? King of the Hill? Was that?
Hmm. Champion
Yeah.
Hill.
Champion Hill, yeah. Like that was a fun game mode. That was essentially gunfight, but like you were playing up against other teams. So sort of like a tournament style. And that was fun, but that never returned. In this game they added kill order. Kill order is like, yeah, like whatever. I mean, it's basically a glorified TDM, and I think they can be more creative about it. I mean, Treyarch created Control. Like Control's a lot of fun. It's really hard to find a game in Control in this game because no one wants to play it anymore. But they created Control. That was a lot of fun. And then there are games like Uplink. That's not in this game, but they have the potential to create new game modes. And I want them to do that and just if one fails, like all right, scrap it. So like, put a new one in right away.
Yeah, I know what you're saying. I think that every year they just need to add enough to make it worthwhile to spend your $70, you know? Um, I think this, you know, coming off of like the topic, we've heard it so many times before. They say like Call of Duty's dead, or if they don't get it right this year, it's over. Which, you and I know that's total BS. Like, people are
Mhm.
always gonna buy it no matter what. Like, they could make this could be just like a Rebox of MW 2019, and people are gonna buy it, and it's gonna be like a top 5 selling game. Um, but I think from, like, where you're coming from, and me in the same boat too, they just need to add enough and have a solid baseline game that we're playing from year to year, because the last 2 years have not been that, it's been
Mhm.
pretty poor. And now we're finally getting a game where we genuinely enjoy it, and most people do. And even if they didn't even add all these modes and stuff that we're talking about and enjoying, it still would be fun.
Mhm.
We'd still enjoy just having standard multiplayer and having ranked, having obviously a good zombies is great, and people got the war zone, which is a whole other thing. Like, that's awesome too. But like, you just need from year to year, you just need, like, a fucking good game. Like, that's all you
Yeah.
need. You just need, like, a solid shooter, And like you said, it's an arcade shooter. The people who are like, "Oh, they should move towards a more, like, realistic approach," ridiculous. I
Yeah.
think that would be, like, death to the entire, like, system. It's like, bro, they've got Battlefield, they've
Yeah.
got all these different shooters. COD is COD. It's always been that way, and it should always stay that way. The second
Mhm.
that they start to try to do that and make it more hyper realistic, I think that's when they're gonna lose, like, a vast audience.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think a lot of people saying that it needs to be like that, honestly, are people like our age, well, like older people, because we're so used to the real arcadey shooter, right? But I don't know, maybe they're just using that as an excuse because this game's it's harder. Like the old
Too
heads,
slow,
like,
Justin.
dude, yeah, too slow. My thumbs just don't move as fast as some of these kids. And I don't know, like it has evolved like since we played. Since like the COD 4 all the way to now, COD has changed a lot. Like I'd even argue that even when we got to the jetpack era, like this game is harder than jetpacks. Like people thought it was hard to aim in that game. Dude, in this game, when you're trying to aim at someone that's like sliding backwards and then sliding forwards again because their movement's insane, it's a lot harder than someone's just like boosting up and then back down. I don't know. That might be a hot take, but COD has been changing like for over a decade now. And like you said, they just need a good game. And I think this game, it is a good game. Um, if if they didn't do anything, it'd still be a good game. Like shooting's fun, multiplayer is fun, ranked is fun, zombies and whatnot. The only thing that would make it even better is if they did add those extra game modes, but if this COD was built off of just multiplayer and not Warzone. Like if Warzone never existed and they didn't have to work on Warzone, I think multiplayer would just thrive a lot more. That might be a hot take. People, Warzone was good for COD, but it hurt multiplayer a lot. So,
Yeah, it definitely did. And for me, that's where I think it evolved. Like, with that whole integration of Warzone from multiplayer, just like the overall creation of Warzone. That's where for me it went off into a new direction, and it's catered to people who really like that type of Call of Duty. You know, you and I know probably will never, well, I'll say probably, definitely will never just give up multiplayer and become Warzone people. It does not appeal to me. But I think that's what it's done, is it's given enough opportunity and enough options for people who want to go and play it and be like, okay, yeah, but I don't want to be loading up into 6v6 anymore. Like, I'm tired of doing that. It's like, okay, you can go play your battle royale. It's like, okay, I don't want to go and be in 6v6. All right, well, you can do 2v2s. All right, it's too serious. You can go do prop hunt, you know? Like, just giving enough options like that, I think helps appeal to a lot of people. Um, but I don't think that they need to do any massive overhaul with the game, people, once they have a good Call of Duty, all the naysayers who talk about saying Call of Duty is dead and all that, that's when they all shut up, you know.
mhm.
But whenever we get this, what is it supposed to be, like Infinite Warfare 2 that's
Yeah,
coming up next?
whatever. Yeah.
Yeah, whatever it's gonna be, like, if that game's trash, then they're gonna come back out again. "Dude, COD's dead. Told you." It's
Mhm.
complete trash, like, it's over for them. And it's like, dude, Infinite Warfare 2, whatever it's gonna be, that game's gonna be, once again, probably, like, the top selling Call of Duty, or top selling game of the year, like, it's
Yeah.
just how it works.
It'll be fine. Like, COD will always be fine, and that's what makes COD unique. You know, it's a new one every year. Um, at this point, I think they need to just, like, stay with that model. I know, you and I have talked about this with other games where they shouldn't release, a new game every single year, because, like, it just makes people burnt out on them, and sometimes they're putting out, like, a half-ass game. But, like, yeah, it'd be great if this COD came out and we have this COD for the next, like, 3 years. But based on the track record of the stuff that you can add and innovate in COD, like, people get bored really, really quick, you know? Like, it's crazy that people are still, grinding out camos, and I'm still seeing videos of, like, oh, they really like this COD, they're hopping on every night with the boys and just playing all night, where I feel like past couple years, COD has been, there's a hype for the first month and then it just drastically drops
Right.
because people are just getting bored of it. Where this game, everyone's enjoying it. I know I've mentioned before that it'd be nice if there wasn't like Call of Duty Black Ops 6. Like the game is just Call of Duty. That's like the game that you're buying. But the best thing about COD is that it comes out every single year, in my opinion. Like if you don't like this COD, like in Vanguard, you're like, all right, we just have to survive a year of this and then hope the next one is like better. And then we get another one that kind of sucks, but we're like, all right, this is slightly better. Let's hope that next year, trying to hold on to hope. But eventually you get one that really clicks, like this game. Um, and I'm going to point out, like, I wasn't the biggest fan of MW2, but that game was fun, like, in my perspective, like, when we were on a roll playing ranked and when you started, like, chaining all your kills and stuff, like, I got excited about this game, but, you know, that's, like, the best thing about COD, just yearly releases.
Yeah, and if they were gonna go if Call of Duty was gonna go the route of having just one game, inevitably, like, for the entire time, and it just be labeled as Call of Duty, they would need to do massive overhauls to the game as, like, the, months and years go on, where it's, like, completely new weapons, completely new maps, but, maybe keep the solid movement system that they have. Like, I think this base game right now, they could build off this a lot if they wanted to, you know? And it's going to be interesting to see what happens with Omni movement. Like if they have that trademarked or just patented as like a tool that they can use in a game, or if there's going to be developers that, as like the years go on, they start to kind of shift their games towards that style. But I think that, like you said, is kind of part of the intrigue of the whole thing. Is every year it's different. So maybe next year we could have some, B-level version of Omni movement, or we could have jetpacks, Who really knows what we're gonna have, but that's the excitement of it because we're good at this COD right now, and then next year it's like, okay, we're starting from scratch again. And we've always been doing that. Like, I mean, man, I couldn't even imagine going back on my PS4 or sorry, not even my PS4, what am I saying? On my PS3 and playing MW3. Like, I think it would be a complete trip for me to go back and play that. I'd still fry,
Mhm.
but it would take me a minute. I'd be like, "Oh my god, like, this is what we used to play on,"
Yeah, how
Like, all
slow
those
it
years we were
was.
sitting on the huge TV, I'm like, "Dude, this to me was, like this was everything." And now
Mhm.
I'm playing here at my home place. I'm like, "Bro, this is what it is," over a
Mhm.
decade later.
Yeah. Yeah, and if COD didn't release every year, like, the closest thing we got was MW2 to MW3,
Right,
and we saw how that went. Like, it people weren't happy, and
right,
MW3 was just the better version of MW2. It was cleaned up
right.
more. Um, I couldn't imagine playing that game again, like,
No,
another year of that game, because like you said, uh, we're good now, The best part is restarting and doing it over again. Like we're learning the game again. Obviously, COD has, every COD has some similarities. Like you're gonna shoot straight if you shoot straight, but it's just there's always a small difference in every single COD when it comes to stuff like that. So if it went from MW2 to MW3 and then like an MW4 and it was just the same thing, we would get so burnt out so fast.
Yeah, 100%. If they kept pretty much everything the same,
Yeah.
like they would have to do a sizable amount of changes to that game. Like I'm talking like a vast addition of perks and removal of old stuff, like a ton of new weapons that are pretty much just going to be the meta and all new maps. But if they're
Yeah.
like, oh, we're going to add a couple of little extra things, I'm like, no, like
Yeah.
it's not happening because you and I know, like from season to season, the game for us does not change. It's the same
Mhm.
game. If you want to make it seem different and have like some crazy skin on and your like new weapons and whatever, like if that satisfies you and makes it feel, a little bit newer to you, then all the power to you. But for us and pretty much everybody as well, like you need to have new maps, you need to have new weapons. And if you have the game completely centered around those changes, then I would feel refreshed enough.
Mhm. Yeah.
But again, you'd feel refreshed, and then a couple months later, you're like, "All right, I'm kind of, I'm ready for some more stuff."
Yeah.
Or especially too, like 6, 8 months down the line, you're ready for a lot of change, and if they're not going to provide that, then forget it. It's like
Mhm.
that's why every year now, just doing a new COD, it's like, yeah, just give us something completely different.
Yeah. And games like Rainbow Six, for example, that's a good example because it's the same game every year. Uh, but I think the big difference is that game was designed for competitive, whereas Call of Duty was meant for just casual shooters. It was an arcade shooter. And when you design a game for competitive, like people that are competitive will play the game no matter what. And the way that they get away with changing the game is again, like you said, they add new maps and but also they add new operators. And in COD, that yeah, the operators in COD are just skins. Like they don't do anything to the game. And in Rainbow Six, these operators actually do change the game because again, it's a competitive game. So they're going to retire old operators and bring in new operators, you know, and that does change the play style of everyone and it changes the flow of the maps. Like you could be playing uh I'm trying like protocol and if we did have like operators in this um like it would just shift the game. Like if someone had a grappling hook and you're flying around the map and then the next season they introduce a new operator where there is no grappling hook and everyone's been using it, the map's going to feel a lot slower. So
Yeah,
I think that's the difference between those games that just they don't change ever. It's because they're a competitive game first,
right.
whereas this is
Yeah.
not.
No, that's a fair point, and like Apex is in the same realm too, and to an extent, Overwatch.
Hmm.
I know Overwatch is not. I mean, no, Overwatch is it is competitive based.
Hmm.
But again, right from Overwatch to Overwatch 2, people were complaining about that because they were like, "Dude, this is an update. Like, this isn't a brand new game here that
Hmm.
you should be paying all this money for." So if you're gonna do those changes, they need to be sizable enough. And that's why, like for Call of Duty, the model works because you can go and charge $70 and you're going to get all new operators, new maps, weapons, like the whole deal. You're paying for a new game.
Yeah,
Um,
yeah, and I'm a big believer of the competitive community will always be there,
yeah,
no matter how much we bitch and moan about like parts of the game, and the competitive community will play the game no matter what. It's there.
yeah,
Um, But I do think, like, this is a side note, that they should listen to more competitive players about certain, I don't know, flows of maps, certain weapons, things like that, just because they know the game best. Um, People might say, oh, they're biased because, they're trying to benefit from it. Yeah, but also these guys do know the game best. They play fucking 8 to 10 hours a day. And most of us. We don't do that, you know. At least in the ranked side, I'll say they should listen to them for all that stuff. Pubs, whatever, it's a free for all. But um, pros should have some say in stuff like that.
Yeah, they definitely should. I think they get overlooked quite a bit as to how much game knowledge they have and how much of that does trickle down into the casual side of the game.
Hmm.
I think people, when they look at the competitive side, they think of it as really intimidating and it's not really viable for the rest of the game. Where pretty much all the competitive stuff, like how they base their game, is all the best stuff. It's like, okay, we've got the best weapons, we've got the best maps, and the best modes that play on the best maps. So that's what we're gonna do.
Yeah, yeah,
Like competitive guys, they ain't even considering playing red card. And it's not like because red card just doesn't work with any of those modes. It's like no, red card's a trash map. Like
yeah,
that's why
yeah,
we're not
and
playing it.
that, yeah. I mean, red cards can be taken out immediately once
Mm,
Hacienda comes out. Like once Hacienda's out, oh no, once Hacienda's in, red card immediately out. That ain't gonna be a hard
Yeah,
point map like at
yeah,
all.
yeah.
Um, but yeah, and whereas like the casual people like us, like we do obviously like that's the biggest base for COD casuals. Like we do have an opinion on it, and they should listen to it. But um, pros understand like the best way to like balance out the game, I guess. Because right now they're talking about GAing this, GAing that, but you can tell the people in pubs that follow competitive when they're using like I'll say like the aims. The aims is not the best air in the game. The
No,
XM4 and the Krig are the best ones in the game.
yeah,
Um, they only use the aims because it's the most balanced and fair AR. Like that's a really good example. Or even
right,
not last year. Like Cold War. Like we went from the XM4 to the Krig because the XM4 is
right,
way better than the Krig. And in
right.
pubs, when you see people not using the aims and they're using the XM4 or the Krig, like they probably don't follow competitive and like you just fry with those weapons.
Right.
Um, but if pro players have a say, they can show like we need to get these weapons more balanced out, to have a variety. If the XM4 and Krig end up being in competitive, probably never. But if Treyarch decided, what, let's nerf these to make them
Right.
somewhat on par with the aims, maybe it would add more variety for us in competitive. But you know, they don't need to listen, and they
No, they
probably
don't need to
won't, to be
listen.
honest.
Yeah. No, it's gonna be, I mean, like, just going off that, it's gonna be interesting to see how this game plays out, with competitive, like, to see how all these moves and decisions like we talked about in the last episode about the whole, like, GA thing, that, they've been going on. Like, I saw the knife was something that came up, and it's like, dude, these guys, it's just everything is on the
Yeah.
table, and it's like, they're all split on what they're gonna be doing. So it's gonna be interesting to see how it goes because I think it's on Friday, on December 6th. That's when
Hmm.
we've got our first match.
First matches.
And we've
Yeah.
got it, yeah, and we've got it up until Sunday, like just as normal.
Hmm.
It's gonna be, I mean, I don't know. It's like Christmas again when it comes back because I just
Hmm.
get to think, I'm like, dude, this is my favorite time. We get to be watching the games. Like maybe we'll be playing as we're watching the games, but we'll just be texting back and forth, being like, bro, did you see this?
Yeah.
LAG, Jesus Christ, they're terrible.
Yeah.
It's
Yeah.
like, dude, Optic, what happened? You know what I mean? Um, yeah, so we got a decent amount of matches here. I thought we could just kind of speed run through some of these before we wrap up on like some of the big matches that are going on. Some of them I don't know how we're really gonna predict them.
Hmm.
But I think there's definitely some games that are gonna be worth highlighting. And especially too, before we even start with it, you saw that announcement with is it Vico
Yeah.
from the
Fickle.
Miami
Yeah.
Heretics? Yeah, saying that he's done competing.
Going
Um,
back to college for mathematics. That's
Dude, round of applause to the guy, man.
that's a very what's the word? Mature and like adult move to continue and do that and like give up what like he's doing right now because he's just trying to predict his future and putting himself in the best place for the future. Um, but I will say that sucks for the scene because having a player like him, like, and his background, his heritage, not in the scene now, that sucks. And that's just because of the infrastructure of the league, you know.
Yeah.
So
Now he's not a player that's kind of like, I'm sure there's people out there that know certain players or have some that come to mind that maybe don't rock the boat as much as to where they go or what happens to them. He's definitely not one of those people. Um, I don't know what that Miami team. I don't know. They were gonna have him. Did they say they were gonna sign him again for the
yeah,
year?
I'm pretty sure he
Yeah.
was on it already. Yeah.
Yeah. So it's like, who knows who's gonna take his spot now? And then also too, just how he was, because I mean, he was hilarious,
Mhm.
and starting to build up quite a personal brand. Um, but yeah, I was really, I'd say happy about it, but I was just like, dude, go do that thing, man. Like
Yeah.
that, uh, you know, I definitely love thinking that he had that conversation with himself where he's just like, dude, what am I doing? Like,
Mhm.
I'm getting paid like okay money for sure. Playing COD, yeah. I, played at the highest level. I've won won against big teams, but this ain't gonna be forever. And I don't even have a
Yeah, yeah.
college degree. Like I gotta get
Mhm.
to it.
Mhm. That's the
So
thing.
yeah, I
Like,
wish I wish him the best.
yeah, yeah. He's aware that he doesn't know how long it's gonna last, especially if you're not if you're not on Optic, you're not on Thieves, you're not on Cloud9, you're not on Phase. Uh, it's gonna be really hard, and it's not their fault. It's literally the infrastructure of COD.
Right.
Like, it's not in the players' favors, to be honest. Like, if you're not on one of those 4 teams, outside of that, it's probably really stressful. Like,
Yeah.
year after year, know if you don't know if you're gonna be on the team, but also you don't know if you're gonna get paid that year. It's like,
Right.
you know, whereas he goes back to college, gets his degree, he has like some backup just in case to fall on. But also while he's in school, he already has like a brand that he's built. He can continue building that brand on the side. But that's the I'm gonna say like bad thing for the CDL because it's probably looks a lot better for those guys to like go and get a backup plan, like college degree or trade school, whatever, and then build their brand on the side and probably like potentially make more income than they would on these regular CDL contracts, and then decide, I'm not going to come back because what's the point? Like, it's not worth it for them and like their time. Like, a perfect example is Colt Havoc.
I
Like,
was just gonna
that
say, yeah.
he would be on a top team in the league, but there's not really incentive for him to be on the league. Like, but that sucks for like the fans and stuff because we won't see him competing at the highest level. He's just shitting on people in ranked, which that's cool, but like what's the incentive for him coming back if he's not signing an insane deal?
Right. Yeah, I mean, there's obviously the financial motivation that is a big part of it too. And just like, what that's gonna entail for him. Like he stays at home, he's got his chat, he's obviously making really good money. And it's like relatively low pressure, where he said he's gonna go to the CDL. It's like, yeah, that's great. He's already been there and done that, but they're not gonna sign him for what he wants.
Mhm.
Now he's got to be doing this whole scrim, with a team, really tough hours. He's going to be traveling. It's like, what's the point of that? And then he's got to leave his whole side, job. Like I say, leave it like entirely, but he's not going to be streaming anywhere as much as he is now.
Mhm.
It's a tough sell, you know,
Yeah.
and I think that's a problem too right now that hopefully they figure out with like the path to pro for some of these guys, these people who are in the amateurs and trying to become professionals, and then people who are professionals right now and maybe on one of those teams, like, or not on the teams that you mentioned. What do they do once, they get dropped? Or if there's someone who's an am and they're working hard, playing all the time, maybe working some minimum wage job on the side to, more or less survive, which I mean, you and I know, like, you can't, it's not easy working at McDonald's and living by yourself. Like,
Yeah.
pretty much impossible,
Mhm.
you know? And on top of what you're trying to do there, it's like, how do you succeed that way?
Mhm.
There's a lot of these people who they throw all their eggs in this basket. of like, oh, I'm going to be a pro. It's like, dude, there's only, what, 60 spots that you can have. Like, and there's already those players that they ain't going anywhere, you
Hmm.
know? So the chances are really slim. And then you're
Hmm.
sacrificing what, you're the rest of your mid late 20s, 30s, 40s, like the whole rest of your life is dependent on what you're doing at this time right now, with these people regarding school. I know you can always
Hmm.
go back to school and stuff. Um, but you'd hate to be getting the news that, oh yeah, you're not going to be playing like for this AM team, or yeah, you're not making it to the pro league. And you could be 24, 23 years old and you've got nothing going on. And you're
Hmm.
like, what am I doing?
Yeah, you like for every sport, you have a very small window in your life
Right.
to achieve like greatness. Whereas in traditional sports, you have a small window, but you make a ton of money to where in if you decide to stop like at 30, you have plenty afterwards to do something with it. Even like the players that sit on the bench and stuff, not making like millions and millions of dollars, but you're smart with your money, you have enough to just like chill out and like figure out what you want to do next. Whereas this, like you're not guaranteed anything, you know, unless you're in the again the top four teams where you're getting paid, um, like pretty good money. So, and those guys again, they're winning. They're always winning.
Right.
So they're getting even more on top of that. The worst thing for the league is if all these players, even the top four, they decide to be like, you know what? It's better for us to all just step back and like build our own personal brand. That's like worst case scenario because then there is no incentive for competitive COD anymore. Because those top four teams, realistically, they're just going to win everything. Um, and that does need to be, changed. Whereas, like, every team's trying to build a team to beat those guys, right? Like, but it's really hard when these orgs don't have the funds to get really, really good players and have them all mesh and then, beat an Optic or a FaZe. Like if somehow the Falcons can beat Optic or FaZe in a series, that'd be insane. But
Right.
likely that probably won't happen. They're probably gonna get decimated. Even with Clay on the back, helping them out. They're
Well,
gonna
dude.
they're gonna improve,
Mhm.
but there's just a level of in everything. There's a level of talent that some people just have, and some like they just can't get there. Like Shotzi is just one of those guys. The shit that he does, like the top 1% can maybe do. Like he's up there. No, there aren't many other players that can even do that.
Right, and same thing with someone like Scrap, these are guys that say, like, I don't wanna glaze too hard saying they're generational talents, but they are players who have a natural ability and just an overall, like, mindset and mentality of playing the game, uh that not many people have,
Mhm.
and not many people can have, you know? It's like you just have a raw innate ability to be able to do what you do. And there's some people that, like I said, they have it, and then there's other people that don't. You can work really hard and get close, but it's just like that extra level, you
Mhm.
know? Um, so yeah, I mean, dude, again, the guys like on Falcons and stuff, they're gonna have, you know, a lot of tough challenges ahead of them for sure when they got to face these top teams. You hope that they do well, but you know, they've got
Yeah.
Carolina on Friday. That's who they've got.
Yeah.
They
Yeah.
got to start with them,
Yeah. Yeah. That's a
which
good first match, like for
which
those
e
guys.
I would say too, man, like, off that, like, we're not gonna go through all these, but, man, I would say, like, with that, I've got Carolina winning that. Like,
Yeah.
I don't know how Falcons could win that. It would be really impressive if they did, um, but I don't think it's gonna happen.
Yeah. Yeah. Me neither. Like
Yeah, I
if
don't know.
Falcons can take a series, like honestly, out of any team, that would be pretty like impressive. Um,
Yeah.
I do think Clay will help out a lot and help developing like the individuals and them as a team. But again, like he can develop them to like 100%, 110% each of them.
Mhm.
But if their 110% isn't enough for Dashy's 90%, you're never gonna win.
Yeah,
Like
exactly.
again, like you said, generational talent. It's just some they just have it, and
Yeah.
those teams will always build teams to beat players like that. It's like hitting the jackpot, you know.
Yeah, exactly. So some of them, like, the games I'm kinda looking forward to, like, obviously the Boston and Texas one, because 'cause we're gonna support our guys with Boston. We'll see how that match goes. But another one on Friday, like, the main one I'm looking forward to as well, other than the Boston one, is the FaZe and Toronto one. I don't really care about FaZe, but I'm just curious to see how this Toronto team does.
Mhm.
I wanna see how far they've fallen.
Yeah.
Like I'm good. I mean, I'm gonna be real. Like there ain't no way this team's gonna be as good as last year and the year prior. I just cannot see that. But it's like, are they a top 5? Like, are they right below, the main guys, or are they like they've got a lot of work to do, you know?
Yeah, yeah. Uh, like, if I had to take a guess by the end of the year, like, these guys are probably just gonna be a mid-pack team.
Yeah.
Um, Insight and Kleenex are still, like, the duo. They're really, really
Hmm.
good players, and I think they'll be able to do enough to just, like, again, be, like, mid-pack, but, like, that FaZe is gonna come out and be FaZe like
So
they
they
always
got Beans,
do.
and then who's their fourth?
I wanna say
Insight. We got
It's
Insight,
Insight,
Kleenex.
Kleenex, Beans, and is it Hexy?
I think so. I think you're right. Yeah, I think so. We should know, bro.
Let me double check.
Well, dude, I'm telling you, it's like there's been a lot of moves with some of these teams, and I'm actually I could just see if I can pull it up here. I don't know if I can, if you're already on it or not. Um, does it say? Yeah, that's who. You're right. You're right. Yeah, Kleenex Insight. Oh no, no, dude, we're tweaking. It's Joe Deceives.
Oh, yeah, Joe left
I-
Thieves. Yeah.
Yeah, yeah,
They're
yeah,
still
dude.
gonna
That's who
lose.
it is. Yeah, yeah. So that team's whatever.
Yeah.
But we'll see. Again, with the pickup of Beans and Joe Deceives, who knows? Um, and then on Saturday, I mean, it's more or less like pretty average games. The two matches I'm looking forward to. One is going to be Toronto versus Vancouver. I only care about that match because I want to see how well Mac does.
Yeah.
Um,
Mhm.
I'm very excited to see him back. I hope this guy comes out and fucking fries. Like I that's like the dream. He just is absolutely insane, or he's right back to where he was.
Mhm.
If he plays like trash, I'll be devastated. Um, and then it'll be cool to see that new version
Oh,
of
wait, no,
of
Mac's not on
Cloud9.
Seattle, or not Seattle, Vancouver.
Who's he on? Dude,
He's
we
on
gotta like
he's on Cloud9.
is he on Cloud9? Hold on.
Yeah.
Let me go check.
Am I
Dude, I
tweaking?
gotta get No, no, you're not tweaking, bro. I'm tweaking. Who's on bro? Okay, well, let's go check this out.
Cloud9
Sir
is Mac, Sib, Attach, and Crep. And then Surge is,
'04,
yeah, yeah.
Abusa, Hixie, and Nasty.
That's where Hixie was.
Dude, we're learning
I
with
knew Hixie
everybody
was
right
somewhere.
now. I'm like, I don't even know these
Sho
teams
sho
anymore. Jeez.
shows how much, we were paying attention to these bottom teams.
Dude, honestly, it's true. It's like,
But also, there were, like, I'm just gonna say, there are a lot of fucking rumors that didn't, like, Hixie was supposed to be on Toronto.
Mhm, he
Like,
was,
these
yeah.
guys were just changing everywhere, and then all of a sudden, once that Thieves team built, everyone was like, "Here's our
Make the
scrappy
move.
team."
Right. So the Cloud9 team is Sib, who stayed on, Attach, Kremp, and Mac.
Yeah.
Um, so yeah, so I look forward to seeing those guys, which they play. Oh, well, yeah, they do play on Saturday. I don't know if they played on Friday. Um, but they end up playing. Who are they playing? They're playing Thieves. Yeah,
That's a tough one.
it's gonna. Yeah, that's a
But
real tough one.
that will show if they are a top 4 team. Like, if they are that
Right.
4th team.
Yeah, if they can take a map or 2 off of Thieves, I have Thieves winning that, but if they can bring it to like a 3-1 or at least have it be like a close 3-1,
Mhm.
I think that'd be good. And
Yeah.
then Sunday, it's what is it? Games that I don't really care too much about, other than the last 2, which are actually dude, these are bangers. The last 2 is gonna be uh Optic versus Cloud9. Got Optic winning that.
Mhm.
Um, unless they choke, I don't know.
That's another
But then the
good
last
challenge
one.
for them.
Yeah, exactly. The last one's gonna be a really good one, dude. It's fucking FaZe versus Thieves.
That's a good one.
That's a really good one. A lot of hate
Yeah.
in that one there.
Yeah. That
I
is a
don't
good one.
I don't know who I think wins that. I don't know where FaZe is right now, like, how good they are. They've always been good, but I just don't know how they stack up against this Thieves team.
Yeah. I mean, lately, I feel like you said, they're good at every single game. Like every
Yeah.
iteration of phase, they've done good. Um,
Yeah.
but I feel like they come out slightly slow. Obviously, they're not full potential yet. And the game's a bit slower for them in the beginning. But if I have to take a bet, I'm gonna put my money on Thieves. They're not gonna blow phase out, but like I'll be surprised if they come out and just like
I was gonna
sweep
say,
them.
watch them 3-0 smoke them. It's like,
Yeah,
bro.
yeah, and then people are gonna be like, "We gotta drop people from phase." I'm like, "Okay, yo,
Right.
chill." It like
It's like, "Dude, it's time,
they
bro.
just
It's time."
they don't know the game yet. They didn't put it together.
Yeah,
Who do you think's winning
I'm with that.
champs? We got to mark it right now. Episode 199. Who's winning champs?
Thieves.
Boston.
You're
Nah.
cooked.
Uh, you think these is winning?
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean it's got to be someone in the top 4. If it's, if a team outside of the top 4 somehow wins, like
Cloud9
that'd be
won, I mean, that'd be sick, but ain't
that
no
would be
chance.
insane if Cloud9 won. Like I think I honestly, I think Optic is going to go back to back. That's what I'm going to say.
Damn, really?
Optic's going to go back to back. Yeah. Okay, I
I
was going to
mean,
say FaZe is going to pull it together because of how sort of similar this game is to Cold War, but Cold War they had Arcades, not Draza. This game's different from Cold War, but
yeah. I don't
I
know.
think Optic will do the back to back. That's my
I c I could see it. I mean, again, I think people right now are sleeping on Optic a bit just because, the hype around Thieves is so strong,
mhm.
and rightfully so. But I think Optic's still gonna be, like, I mean, they're gonna be insane, of course.
Yeah.
Um, I will say though, I think if this Thieves team doesn't win champs, it's over. They're breaking up. I mean, to
Yeah.
me, there's no way that they can be paying these 4 guys that much money and they don't win champs. It's
Yeah.
like they have to, you know what I mean?
Or
Or they have to
EWC.
win, like, say that again?
They have to win EWC. Like
Yeah,
they
yeah,
like
exactly.
they have to win out like this year.
Y
Like
yeah.
if they pull a phase and they win everything and then choke champs, like uh then they'll probably stick together just because of like the outcome. But um that team has to win, like they have to win stuff this year.
Yeah, there's again, like, all the teams here, people are like, "Well, isn't that the objective of every team?" Yes and no. It's like, those top
That's
teams,
objective for
like
that game. That's
exactly. Like, for that team, yeah.
yeah. Yeah.
Cloud9, like, yeah, the wishful thinking, they wanna win. It's like, will they win? I don't know,
Yeah.
like, more than likely, no, they won't be winning.
It's it's hard to win in the CDL too, especially there's only 4 majors.
Right.
Like there's only 4 majors, there's COD champs, and then there's EWC. So technically 6, but if you're not counting EWC, there's 5 real like events. Um and you have 12 teams and like we know the top teams are just completely and utterly stacked. So,
Right.
I mean
Yeah,
last
so
year no one outside of the top 4 won.
right.
Like and if you're counting EWC like who won EWC again? It was it's Phase.
Phase.
Phase, yeah. But they played Thieves in the grand finals, and that I mean
Right.
that was surprising. But
Yeah, insane.
um, yeah, like in the CDL though, no one outside of the top teams won.
Yeah, so I don't really see that trend changing. I think it's gonna be the same.
Mhm.
But yeah, I would say Thieves, I think, are gonna win champs. I think they'll probably win probably a major or 2. Um, I don't think they'll sweep, but, I think they'll definitely win champs. If I had to put money down,
Mhm.
a massive $10 bet, that's what I
Yeah.
would, That's what I would put it on.
That's not a bad team to pick.
No.
I mean, that team is
Put it on the Minnesota Rocker, man.
yeah. Nah, it
No chance.
freaking FaZe, Optic, and Thieves are not a bad pick to win champs at all.
Yeah, if you don't
Regardless,
choose one of those teams, you need to watch the game a bit more.
regardless, those 3 teams, they're gonna win a major.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
one of those teams, they're gonna either win it all or they're gonna win a couple.
See, there I'd put
Um,
every dollar I have on that. Can you imagine if you lost
yeah,
that? It's like Optic,
that'd be
FaZe, or
insane.
Thieves will win at least one major,
Yeah,
you know?
and they don't.
That yeah.
None of
Yeah.
them do. That would be
Yeah.
insane. They're
That
those
would be
teams are always
historic.
those teams will always be in the grand finals.
Yeah.
They'll all like yeah. I mean, I'd love to see like an insane underdog like story. Some random team like at the bottom just come up and you know they're frying, but that's wishful thinking.
Yeah, I know. I want that too, but I don't think it's gonna happen. But
Yeah.
Well, yeah, man. I think that covers it. Again, CDL starting up. So, and by the time you guys see this, hopefully our predictions were right regarding just some of these games. Hopefully they're all good matches.
Mhm.
But yeah, if you're not watching the CDL, like the first week already happened, so get a grip, start watching
Yeah.
it. It's that
Next
time again,
weekend.
and then yep, so we can start watching it and taking notes for ranked,
Yeah.
then and get us up into the diamond realm real quick.
Yeah.
You know. But yeah, do you have anything else you wanted to add before we wrap up?
No, I mean, uh, hopefully everyone enjoyed their Thanksgiving that celebrated.
Yes.
Holidays are coming up soon. Episode 200 for us is coming up soon. Leave a comment down below. Like Mike and I want to make this more of like a viewer episode. So if you guys have questions about anything, like doesn't need to be COD related or like whatever, or maybe
Topics he
like
wants to
yeah,
cover.
topics, anything, leave them down below on this episode. And we're gonna post on like Twitter too
Yep.
about it because yeah, 200 we want to make it more whatever you guys want.
Yeah. Um, I agree. So again, yeah, just make sure you go and answer that. There's not much we won't talk about
Yeah,
unless it's political. Not talking about that, which I don't think
yeah,
anybody would want to hear that anyway. It's
they
like
won't know.
not
I'm gonna
qualified.
I'm gonna pick all the questions.
Yeah,
This
right.
person,
Rate,
nah.
rate the system. Rate the system. But yeah, anyway, again, everybody, thank you for listening to episode 199 of the COD Casuals podcast. Be sure to go to anchor.fm/COD Casuals since we're there on all stream platforms. You could also go to Instagram or TikTok if you don't want to watch the full episode. And then as well, like Justin said, go to Twitter or X and go follow us at the COD Casuals. We're posting there pretty much all the time and join the community thread if you want to keep up to date since we're posting there quite often. And 5 stars
Yeah,
always.
5 stars.
We appreciate that. And oh yeah, and of course go to the YouTube too, since I post that out there. More people need to subscribe to the YouTube. Even if you don't
Yeah,
watch there, just go over there, just subscribe anyway. Why not? Because we
yeah,
appreciate it. We're on the road to 1 million. We'll get there at some point. And yeah, I think that does it, huh?
yeah.
Cool. So again, everybody, thank you for listening to episode number 199 of the COD Casuals podcast. We're your host, Mike,
I'm Justin.
and we'll see you guys next week. Take it easy, everybody.
See ya.